In 2023, League of Legends is about to enter its 13th season. I've been playing League since Season 3. I distinctly still remember watching Faker's famous Z outplay on Ryu Live and literally not knowing what had just happened or how somebody could be so good at the game.
He's in the bed. Oh, Faker maybe in trouble here. Deathmark tries to clean it up for Ryu. Oh, look at the cleanse, look at the moves! Faker, what was that?
It's early League experiences like these that really stand out to me, when League of Legends was just League of Legends. Over the seasons, the player base has multiplied by almost 20 times, with the player count sitting at 180 million per month in 2022, dwarfing the 11.5 million the game had in 2011. Through incredibly good marketing and branching the Runeterra universe out through multiple media avenues such as Arcane and Wild Rift, Riot Games has attracted an extremely broad and diverse player base.
I would probably refrain from any PDA.
I prefer Lethal Tempo.
You thought it was like a video game or something?
Yeah.
Reflecting on my own League of Legends journey, it made me wonder what the journey of a newer player looks like and what they may have missed over the years. So sit back and enjoy as we cover the lifespan of the entire League of Legends game from Season 1 all the way up to the current modern day League of Legends in Season 13. On July 13th, 2010, League of Legends would enter its first competitive season. However, the game technically had a life between when its first ranked season began and when the game was released on October 27th, 2009, which could also be purchased through a hard copy version of the game. Included was $10 worth of RP for use in the store that hadn't been activated yet, a Human Rise and Silver Kale skin code, and a map with a reverse side being the original champions. Inspired by Defense of the Ancients, or more affectionately known as Dota, League may not have existed if not for a fan-made custom mod for Warcraft 3 Reign of Chaos and two budding young game developers in founding partners Mark Trindamere Merrill and Brandon Rise Beck that saw potential in the multiplayer online battle arena or MOBA game genre. After one of the key modders that established Dota left the modding scene, a very key and familiar name in Steve Gwinsu Feek would inherit the responsibility and continue to pave the way for the newly born MOBA genre to expand. In 2005, Gwinsu left development to modders such as IceFrog and Nichus, who continued to shape the game through the Dota All-Stars map. This early mod was thought to have reached just upward of 1 million players, and in 2008 would begin to receive broader commercial attention corresponding to its success. This led to newer developers working on their own MOBA-styled games, but amongst the rough was one diamond that, with a bit of polish, would become the most radiant of them all in League of Legends Clash of Fates.
Rock solid.
With 17 champions shipped with the original release, Riot planned to change the subtitle Clash of Fates to signal when new content was available. This was scrapped for release, however, as they thought it sounded silly, and so the game was available on October 27th, 2009, finally named League of Legends. Before I continue with Season 2, shout out to repeat.gg for keeping me, not homeless.
Give me rent.
You'll get your rent
When I'm done with this ad sponsor.
I thought if I'm going to waste my life away on this game, why not get paid to do it?
Bye, have a great time.
Repeat.gg runs League tournaments daily, weekly, or on a monthly basis. Imagine being able to tell your friends that you get paid to play League. There are free tournaments to participate in or ones that require coins, which you can earn on the site. And don't worry, the tournaments are accessible to all ranks and skill levels. Prizes can be used to continue competing in more tournaments for higher payout, purchase items off the Repeat marketplace such as Amazon gift cards, or if there's nothing you want, just cash the money out to your personal PayPal account. Once you link your account and have competed, the results are all automated so you don't have to log anything.
Thanks.
Last month, Repeat gave away 60 grand and are only looking to upscale their payouts. To learn more, click the link below to get yourself registered, and if you're from OCE, I might even run into you on the Rift. Now back to the video. On July 13th, 2010, a competitive 5v5 playlist would be released in the League of Legends client that awarded ELO upon winning the game, allowing the player to climb through the ranks from bronze all the way up to platinum. What we didn't know at the time of this release was that this ranked experience through League of Legends would become one of the most controversial, addicting, and universally successful entities ever to exist in video gaming. In Season 1, 29 new champions were released, some of which were not allowed to be played in the ranked playlist at the time. Riot's explanation for this was the introduction of a quote-unquote in-season rotation, where champions would come and go in and out of the competitive playlist as more champions were to release and metas would shift. Another point that Riot themselves would go on to include in their in-season announcement was that for a new player trying to learn upward of quote-unquote 60 champions in a ranked playlist, now they only have to learn 35 to 40 or whatever number we determine. Alongside the beginning of Season 1 was the release of the 3v3 Twisted Treeline ranked playlist, as well as 5v5 pre-made and 5v5 solo queue. Twisted Tree Line was a huge part of League's earlier seasons. It featured many things that separated it from Summoner's Rift, such as the amazingly designed boss Vilemore and a completely different item set and meta. There were also a lot of really early systems that League had implemented until they were removed in later seasons. Firstly, the way runes worked was completely different, and something called masteries existed. Before every game, it was really common to have to redo most of your runes and masteries to fit your champion. Within a rune page, a player would create a combination of glyphs, marks and seals, stacking up to 9 for increased effect, with quintessences being more akin to the modern day keystone runes that we use. There were also tiers of runes, tier 1 runes being the weakest all the way up to tier 3, so you used to just save for the tier 3 runes. Masteries were probably less confusing, but also less impactful too. Doing your masteries pre-game was probably the rough equivalent of just changing your shards in Modern League, although more expensive and tedious. The summoner spells look completely different than they do now too, and while not specific to Season 1, we saw crazy combinations like Revive TP Karthus that was popularized by famous ex-League streamer Phantom Lord. Things like Surge, Stifle, Revive, Clairvoyance, Garrison, Fortify, and Observer have all been removed, but if they were in modern day League of Legends, they would completely break the game. There were even old champion statistics like Dodge that was enabled through evasion runes, items such as Ninja Tabby or Phantom Dancer, or in the passive of abilities like Jax's Counter-Strike or Siv's Fleet of Foot. There are even clips of these champions being able to dodge the Fountain Laser. These systems, however, were all things that you would have to grind and learn if you wanted to climb your elo rating and play with the best, like at the Season 1 World Championships held at DreamHack Summer 2011. In the earliest League of Legends World Championship, Fnatic would beat Against All Authority 2-1 and take home $50,000 USD.
Going to win the Season 1 Championship if they can hold on. This Nexus will go down. Congratulations to Fnatic.
I gotta tell you, it was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
At the weird starting time of 22nd of November 2011, Season 2 would start. In this season, 20 new champions were released, including fan favourites spanning from Ahri to Zed, and patch notes look like this. A new addition to the game would be made with the Objective Control Mode Dominion featuring a brand new map, the Crystal Scar. How crazy that in Season 2, League of Legends had 3 maps, and in Season 13, it has 1. The earliest iteration of the Howling Abyss was also released, known as the Proving Grounds.
Where the fuck I am.
This would serve as home to the tutorial for new players. The dodge rune was also removed, as thank God, Riot realised that the heavily RNG-based stat was just too inconsistent to have as a game mechanic. Darius would also be the first champion to receive a recall animation, something basically every modern champion and skin has nowadays. The World Championship was held in North America in early October of 2012 and would boast a record-breaking prize pool at the time of $2 million USD. The eventual winners, the Taipei Assassins, also known as TPA, would be the first team to receive World Championship skins. Fnatic's weren't issued until 2014. Championship Riven, my favourite skin in the entire game, was also the first championship skin to be released to celebrate the Worlds tournament. This was the first season to gain real traction and the opening to a game-defining Season 3.
So, I'm not gonna lie, but Season 2 of League was actually, pretty good. So, let's move on to Season 3.
This is a big one. Not just because I started playing at the end of Season 3, but we saw some of the most exciting League changes and gameplay yet. At Season Begin, there was a very rare change to the game, where Riot adjusted the ambient gold gain from 13 per 10 seconds to 16 per 10 seconds and nerfed base minion gold, decreasing melees from 22 to 20 and casters from 16 to 15. Siege minions, on the other hand, got a buff, going from 27 gold to 40, making missing cannon minions all the more painful. We saw fan favourite item Heart of Gold removed and a whole stack of items got reworked. There was also some completely new items, some of which are still in the game today. One of my favourite changes also happened with Tier 2 boot enchantments. There was Alacrity, Furor, Distortion, Captain and Home Guards. The Summoner spell Barrier was added and Surge and Promote were disabled. This season not only saw the legendary Faker vs Ryu Zed outplay, but also this piece of League history. At IEM Katowice, Fnatic would defeat SK Gaming at the hands of this absolutely legendary backdoor from Fnatic's Expeke. This iconic play birthed the name the Expeke when backdooring the enemy nexus. On the 15th of September 2013, World Season 3 would start, which would also herald the beginning of the most dominant League of Legends dynasty in history, SK Telecom T1, led by the unkillable Demon King, Lee Faker Sang-hyuk. They would take down Chinese Royal Club in a 3-0 stomp and claim their first Worlds title, marching as an uncontested force towards League of Legends Season 4.
Then check this out.
On the 15th of January 2014, League of Legends Season 4 kicked off. As what would go down as one of the most defining seasons in the game history, even to date, the biggest change happened at the end of the season on November 12th, where we saw Summoner's Rift receive an update and take the appearance of the map that we play on today. The new map featured more visual clarity, better sightlines and fog of war placement, a new shopkeeper, and a new audio engine. The old Summoner's Rift was not forgotten, however, as many Easter eggs can be seen scattered around the current map in the old version's memory. Not only did the map start to look better, we also received 10 champion updates, from Anivia to Victor, a relaunch of the Scion that we know today, the release of Azir, Braum, Gnar, Vel'Koz, and all-time League favourite Yasuo, and a whole ton of splash art got updated. Heal got a rework into the spell we know today, granting a movement speed bonus because no one really took it back then. ADCs only took Barrier, and we saw the release of the famous official cinematic, New Dawn. On the 18th of September in South Korea, Worlds 2014 began that would see Royal Club fall short of Worlds glory for the second time in 2 years to Samsung White, who knocked out reigning champions SK Telecom T1 in LoL Masters 2014. This defeat wouldn't hold SKT down, however, as the following Season 5 would reveal. On November 20th, 2014, Season 5 began. New champion releases included Kalista, Rek'Sai, Bard, Echo, Tahm Kench, and Kindred. Some pretty notorious champions got reworks into the Rift terrorizers that they are today, Fiora, and even more splashes were updated. Riot also introduced like 20 new items and removed some old ones. Oh yeah, Chrome was also released, as well as the introduction of Champion Mastery that definitely has been used for its intended purpose and not just to annoy your opponents when you solo kill them.
You shut the fuck up!
And the most important meta-shifting, rift-shaking, gameplay-breaking addition was made, Rift Scuttler.
Matt on the floor, I think he's in the bed. Oh, Baker may be in trouble here. Deathmark tries to clean it up for Ryu. Oh, look at the cleanse, look at the moves!
At the Worlds 2015 final held in Berlin of Germany, SKT T1 would hold the cup in their second consecutive year after defeating Coup Tigers 3-1. Let's see if SKT can make it a hat-trick in 2016. The 6th season of League kicked off on November the 11th, 2015 and saw the release of Alawi, Jhin, Aurelion Sol, Talia, Kled, and Ivern. About 25 champions got slapped with the art brush and another stack of items were added and or removed. Masteries were reworked into a set of 3 in Ferocity, Cunning, and Resolve, and the Rift finally received the, again, meta-shifting Elemental Dragons, which consequently meant we had to say goodbye to the Global Gold Dragon. This also meant that Elder Dragon was released too, the big boss. As bot lane was getting a new objective to play for and more agency, it only made it fair that Riot would do something to fill Baron Pit and give top laners somewhat a reason to exist, and thus, Rift Herald was born.
Hello, motherfucker.
We also saw the extremely fun mode Doombots for the first time ever, which I'm not sure why they don't just bring back or rotate in and out of the game. I thoroughly enjoyed having my head kicked in by NPCs. And lastly, Hextech crafting made its way into the clan. This season, we also saw one of the best and closest games in a domestic series ever, with Echo Fox pulling off this backdoor versus Dignitas with a clutch call from Froggen.
He's trying a big pulverize. He's trying to win the game. It's so close, and they get it. Echo Fox.
In this same game, Froggen took the world record for most CS in a competitive match, reaching 874 CS in a 67-minute game. You remember that League of Legends dynasty I mentioned before? Yeah, they're still kicking ass. SKT would take their hat-trick Worlds title over Samsung Galaxy in a very tight 3-2 series. This World Series and all of these meta changes were surely about to bring around a very exciting 2017. On January 30th, 2017, the 7th competitive season began. Following the trend of previous seasons, Riot was still on their update current champion shit, but also released Camille, Kayn, Ornn, and the lover duo of Xayah and Rakan.
What are you doing, step?
Lethality was introduced as a new stat that replaced flat armor penetration.
What?
and we saw the introduction of more modern League items like Gargoyle Stoneplate, Bramble Vest, and Edge of Night. Control wards also replaced vision wards, although we still use the name pink wards when referencing control wards in the game today. The jungle also saw a huge addition that Riot continues to add on or to improve every season: the jungle plants. These included the Scuttlecrab's favourite honey fruit, Blast Cone, and the Scryer's Bloom. Herald got a facelift.
What's up?
The practice tool was introduced, and we saw Hunt of the Blood Moon and Darkstar Singularity enter the game as event game modes temporarily. Worlds 2017 saw the first defeat of SKT in recent years to previous year runner-up Samsung Galaxy, and League was finally beginning to take shape toward the game that we all play today. On the 16th of January 2018, Season 8 started and Riot did the most. We began the season with the Climb cinematic, an absolute fan favourite. Zoe, Kai'Sa and Pyke were our champions this season, and they updated all of this. Necrod's fan mail was answered, and a stack of champions got lore updates, and again, we had the addition and removal of a bunch of items. The funnest game mode ever, Fight Me On This in Odyssey Extraction entered the game, as well as Snow Battle Earth, Nexus Blitz and Overcharge.
I'm joking.
Butcher's Bridge made its way into ARAM temporarily, and the big one happened. Keystone runes. In Season 8, Precision, Domination, Sorcery, Resolve and Inspiration made their way into the client to give players more options and flexibility in ways to play their favourite champion. There was a lot of ironing out to do on Riot's end, but this also brought along with it Keystone runes that would allow a player to augment their champion with a slight buff or effect. This shaped and broke metas, but was one of the most refreshing changes in a long time and still persists today. This also meant we said goodbye to glyphs, marks, seals and quintessences, with Riot issuing a bulk refund to players in exchange for the now free new rune trees. With all this extra moolah, Riot also released the very first fan favourite Essence Emporium with limited skins and cheap rewards. Worlds this year was held in South Korea, but would not sway Invictus Gaming of China by sweeping Fnatic 3-0. On to the next season. I know I say this is a big one like most of the earlier seasons, but this actually is because Riot dropped this absolute banger, my favourite cinematic in Awaken, with my Bay Riven looking very Kendall Jenner. The ranked season began on January 9th, 2019 and saw the addition of new tiers, Iron and Grandmaster, while also dropping divisions from 5 tiers to 4. Riot released 2 comics, Lux and War Mother, and the city of Ishtar was introduced in the lore, foreboding the release of 2 Ishtali champions, Nico and Kiana. Riot continued on with champion releases, with the highly popular Sylas mirroring the highly unpopular Yuumi, and with Senna's announcement came a resounding cry in the community that her kit was insanely overloaded.
Wait, what kind of nonsense is this? What was that skill shot? No, does she kill him from bottom lane?
TFT was introduced into the Runeterran universe, and even more champions got VFX updates. The World's Finals this year was held in Paris, where FPX 3-0'd crowd favourite G2 in a pretty anticlimactic series. This season would be the last before Riot decided to release the Thesis. In the 10th season of League, Riot added the Elemental Rift, where on the 3rd dragon taken, Summoner's Rift would transform into the corresponding element, offering shifts in gameplay we'd never seen before. The second Wind Brother Yone was released, and the Big Boss set had an event surrounding him where you got a free champion shard for him if you got enough First Bloods. Lilia, Seraphine, Samira released alongside these two, and the 200 years of experience meme was born with the drop of Ophelia.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
The Thesis champions. The League of Legends based show Arcane was delayed until 2021, and we sadly saw the removal of the rune Kleptomancy. God, I love that rune. Nothing beat the dopamine of getting a random sack of gold. The Alcove area was added to the outer edge of bot and top lane, and we finally saw the demise of the Twisted Tree line. I honestly feel like if League just wants a giga resurgence of players, they just need to re-add and update. World Season 2020 was held in China with Yone and Samira disabled. DWG took the title for the first time over Suning in a 3-1 series.
Sanity is doing the exact same fucking thing.
Honestly, beginning from Season 11 onwards, League starts to take a bit of a spiral in terms of content. I don't know if this is a combination of the Riot manpower being spread too thin over all the new projects they are working on, or COVID-19. In seasons prior, we saw a ton of new and interesting champion releases, complete updates and new game modes. This is where League starts to slow down. Not to the complete detriment of Riot, however, this was the year we saw the release of the wildly successful League of Legends TV series Arcane. Winning the 2022 Game Award for Best Adaptation from Netflix, Arcane really broadened League's exposure to the outside world. While we still saw the release of Rel, Viego, Gwen, Vex, and the Declaration of Independence champ Akshan,
Hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
there wasn't much else to talk about other than the Ultimate Spellbook being a new mode. First Strike replaced Omnistone in the runes, and the broken Revival Soul Chemcheck Drake and Hextech Drake were released. That's pretty much about it. Obviously, this is a season that was pretty heavily affected by COVID-19, so it's at no real fault of the devs. Worlds 2021 was held in Iceland, interestingly enough, and saw EDG take the crown over Damwon in an extremely close 3-2.
This baby hits 88 miles per hour.
In the most recent season of League of Legends, we had the most lean year the game had ever seen. Following on from the repercussions of COVID-19, a lot of champion development was slowed down, like the yet-to-be-released Skarner. We did, however, see Udyr get a VGU, and Zeri, Renata Glask, Velveth, Neela, and Cassante were our champions of the year. Chemtech Drake was removed after Riot failed to balance it, and we saw no new game modes. We did, however, see one of the best world championships I'd ever seen, with the complete underdogs DRX beating the League of Legends Kings T1 in a 3-2 series. And I mean, these games were some of the best entertainment I'd ever seen. Now, as for Season 13, we're off to a weird start. Okay. Preseason changed a few systems, but for the most part didn't really do or show us anything. Riot also dropped the worst piece of video they'd actually ever put out. I saw better stuff in Season 1. Riot also did a funny and released the new tank items Heartsteel, Radiant Virtue, and Jack Show the Protein Shaker. Nice. For what has been a huge part of my life for almost half of it, I'm excited to see where League and Riot go in the future and hope to be there for every step of it. If you enjoy this type of content, make sure to subscribe, as I have more documentary styled videos planned for the near future, and I also make League and esports news videos every day. Thank you for watching. Bye!